Hello and welcome to Solent Sports News. I'm Daniel Baverstock and here are your sports stories at 3:30. Southampton Football Club have confirmed that their championship game tomorrow will go ahead. The Saints host Sunderland, but a warehouse fire next door to St Mary's cancelled their game against Preston on Wednesday. The fate of tomorrow's match was up in the air, but Southampton have extinguished rumours by confirming it will be played. Extra safety measures will be taken by closing part of the family zone and the south car park which border the collapsed warehouse. But despite the cancellation on Wednesday, it was AFC Tottenham who stole the headlines. As a result, Lily Arthur found out how the Stags provided a helping hand to all the Preston fans who made the trip down. Now we go live to Ollie Howard, who's with Tottenham CEO Steve Brookwell at the Snow Stadium.
Yep. Hi, Dan. I have to apologise straight away because unfortunately, as you can imagine with what's going on at Tottenham today, it is all hands on deck for everyone here. Steve has had so many media calls, been with the BBC, have with Sky, so it's going to be just me giving you the information today. And I'm stood here in Mally's Corner, which is actually where most of the Preston fans were for the game on Wednesday evening. We estimate there were about 60 of them. And they were all in full voice. Some chants about Blackpool more than the game going ahead. But it looks as though Steve might be able to join me now. Steve, very busy today, as I can imagine. All phone calls everywhere. So let's go back right back to the start. When did you see the fire going over in Southampton? When does it come into your mind? Oh, hold on, we've got an opportunity here.
Yeah, I don't think it was as much as an opportunity. Obviously, we were devastated for Southampton Football Club. As you know, they're a big partner of ours. They're very inspirational in what we do here. And so we were concerned for them and their safety at first. And I contacted the football club and there was no sort of position. They were waiting for the police and the emergency services to give them some direction. And then obviously we saw it come up on Twitter that the game had been cancelled. You know, we thought, well, you've got all those fans at late notice. We've been in the same situation, as you well know, going down to Plymouth Parkway, and we get there and then the game's been called off. So all those fans had travelled with nowhere to go. We thought, well, look, I'll tell you what, why don't we open the doors up? We always open up the doors for Southampton season ticket holders anyway. Let's open it up to Preston North End people that have travelled and have bought tickets. I think there was about 500 that had bought an allocation. And invite them to the Snow Stadium and give them a free night out and probably give them something to watch and something to cheer on in the absence of the game at St Mary's.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic what happened. You'd have seen maybe people would have seen on the social medias. It went viral really, and in the local news. I'm sure your media duties, as I teased earlier, you've been a very busy man for the last couple of days.
Yeah, listen, I've been talking to radio shows and TV companies the length and breadth of the country. You know, I just couldn't believe how it sort of taken off. I mean, as it was on the night, obviously we won 3-1. We had a lot of Academy 1 and Year 1 and Year 2 students that came out and represented us because we were low on the ground for numbers. You know, they had a great game, won 3-1. 60, 70 fans turn up from Preston North End. The first thing they want to do is go in the shop, buy beanie hats, buy scarves. And I think consume as much alcohol as they possibly could and drown their sorrows in watching the game. And then they got involved in Mally's Corner, which is where our vociferous fans are. And so the banter started, the song started going, and they were obviously Blackpool big rivals of theirs, and it just went from there really, and it just ended up a big fun night for football in general and what football's all about. You know, we're all about community, we're all about community spirit, and football's a football family, you know, and I think the football family came together in its best really that particular evening. Yeah. And
we've seen we've formed a quite unusual friendship in the last couple of days, going back and forth, their fans and our fans. There's been some rumours and some murmurs about potentially a pre-season game going on. Is that a story that has legs?
Yeah, listen, it does. Obviously, it all came about really because Jimmy Ball's grandfather was the manager of Preston North End in a period of time when they were one of their most successful periods. And obviously Jimmy had picked up on that, so there's a family connection there. Obviously Tony Croft, our finance director, had sort of said to me, look, you know, why don't we open it up free to Preston? And that's just gone from strength to strength. You know, We've had contact with Peter Risdale, the chief exec of obviously Preston North End. There has been mutterings of us going up there for a pre-season friendly, which we would love to happen. Jimmy obviously knows the management team at Preston North End because when he worked at Stoke City, obviously had connections with them. So we live in hope. We've invited them down here to use the facilities for the rearranged game against Southampton. And come and enjoy the facilities. We had a lovely signed shirt arrive in a box from Peter Risdale this morning, and all at Preston North End thanking us for looking after their fans, and what a fantastic gesture it was. I see our Twitter went up, I think, by about 300.
More than that, I think.
Oh, was it more than that? And obviously, I think I said to you when you phoned earlier on about doing this interview, I've done, I think, 8 radio shows, and I've done 4 live TV shows. So, and I've got one more to do next week, and one later on to do this afternoon. So it's been absolutely fantastic exposure for the football club, and it's testament really to all our supporters, all our volunteers, that of course themselves turned round adversity when the game was going to be called off at Solent because of weather, and we've had probably the wettest February and March in probably history. That the groundsman turned the ground round here and said, well, look, bring it to the Snow Stadium. And then obviously what happened at St Mary's is history. So, everyone's hard work and endeavour have paid off.
Thanks very much for your time today, Steve. Back to you in the studio. A lovely story here at AFC Totton.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ollie. Maybe a friendly for Totton at Deepdale is in store for the summer, especially next pre-season. Well, sticking with the club, they've been climbing up the football pyramid in recent years. They have aspirations of reaching the National League in the near future. New signing Tony Lee is looking to bridge the gap, but will his goals help Totton reach the next tier?
Within the past month, once prolific goal scorer Tony Lee has returned to AFC Totton to rediscover his love for the game.
After being at Poole for so long and knowing everybody there, coming into a different environment, it's good. It's kicking me on. I'm starting to get the love back for football, which is a big help. So and winning on the pitch obviously helps. So I think over the last 18 months, I started to fall out of it, and I knew I needed to make a change, and that was stepping out of my comfort zone, coming to Totton, somewhere that I kind of knew, so I wasn't completely out of my comfort zone, but enough to be able to try and re-spark the energy and the love for football. So I've come in, been here just under a month now, and I think it's probably one of the best decisions I'd have made. So
Lee's reputation of scoring nearly 100 goals at the Dolphins has served him and the team well already on the field, alongside established striker Scott Rendell, who's one of the main danger men in the league.
I think that's, over the last 4 or 5 years, that's what I've been known for. A bit of an old school centre forward that can score goals. Started well so far, three goals in 3 games. As long as we're winning games, I think at the minute that's the priority. We're at the business end of the season, and if I'm not scoring, Ren's will, or if Ren's isn't scoring, you'll have other attacking midfielders or even the centre half chip in to get us over the line. But at the minute, it's not about me. It's about us picking 3 points up every Saturday to get us in the playoffs.
Lee believes that if the Stags, who are currently 4th in the table in the Southern Premier in the playoffs, end up getting through, they will be tough at home in the semis.
We're in there at the minute. If we can stay in there, if we can finish 3rd, 2nd to get a home tie, then I think it'd be hard to stop us. Personally, I think we've got a good group. I just think we've got everything. We've got a great group of lads that are experienced. You've got young lads that have got flair. They've got the excitement. They go out and perform every week. And that's what you need. I think we've got that this year. I think maybe there's a little bit more quality this year, so that puts us in good stead.
Well, let's stick with Totton now, and Lily Arthur found out how the Stags provided a helping hand to all those Preston fans who made the trip down on Wednesday.
Here is the aftermath of the warehouse which was ravaged by the fire outside St Mary's on Wednesday evening. Black smoke billowed over Southampton Stadium, leaving no choice for their match against Preston North End to be postponed. Hundreds of fans travelled down from Lancashire to watch their beloved Preston play, only for the game to be called off, when many had already arrived in Hampshire. However, some quick thinking from the local non-league side AFC Totton has meant that the fans' journeys weren't completely wasted. The Stags hosted Solent Sports in the quarter-finals of the Southampton Senior Cup, and around 60 Preston fans were in attendance to watch a 3-1 victory for Totton. Manager Jimmy Ball is the grandson of the late Alan Ball Sr., who took charge of Preston for 3 years in the 1970s. Thinks the stars aligned on Wednesday evening.
No, my grandfather did a fantastic job at Preston, loved his time there. I think he had 3 promotions with them, I'm not sure, maybe 2 or 3 promotions with them. Had a great affinity with the fans there, obviously being a local lad. So it was just nice.
For most of the Preston supporters, it would have been a 400-mile, 11-hour round trip, and Ball recognised the importance of away fans.
I think away fans are a special breed, you know, the amount of commitment it takes to follow your team up and down the country. You know, as you know, I'm an Everton fan, and their away following is incredible. And I've been on a few days out with them, and the amount of commitment that must take every week of planning and organisation and logistics.
So, while Preston fans couldn't watch their beloved Lily Whites in action in midweek, a peculiar but special friendship seems to have blossomed.
Ferrari's Carlos Sainz will miss the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as he is set to undergo surgery for appendicitis. This means British F2 driver Oliver Bearman will replace the Spaniard for the rest of the weekend. The Scuderia's reserve driver will also fill in for this evening's qualifying session, which starts at 5 p.m. later on. Testing took place in Kent at Brands Hatch, where some drivers struggled with the track conditions ahead of the new GB3 season. Luke John Buckle reports.
Ahead of the new GB3 season, the grid met for a pre-season test. Irish driver Alex Dunn delved into his initial difficulties of adjusting to the extra performance of the GB3 car after graduating from F4.
Yeah, you know, I think jumping up to the downforce of a GB3 car, it took a little while for me to get my head around it. You know, it's quite a big jump.
Ahead of the new GB3 season.
To cricket, where the second day of the 5th test between England and India has come to an end. Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma's centuries compile more misery on England, despite Ben Stokes taking a wicket with his first competitive delivery for 8 months. India are now up by 3 games to 1. Brighton continued their first ever European tour last night in Italy. They were battered 4-0 by Roma in the first leg of the round of 16. Charlie Clayton was there for us at the match, where the issues off the pitch stole the headlines. Charlie, what's happening out there?
On and off the pitch at the Stadio Olimpico last night, stories were told. Let's start off the pitch. Brighton supporter Jack Albion received a hero's welcome from all Brighton supporters. This comes after he was ambushed by a group of Italians and had to have 10 stitches within his body. He still made the game, which is unbelievable. On the pitch though, it wasn't so unbelievable from a Brighton point of view. 4-0 to AS Roma, which makes it mission impossible really for the second leg at the Amex next Thursday. And Roberto De Zerbi, I think, is going to have to make a lot of changes and change up his tactics to beat this Roma team, especially if you want to score a load of goals past them. So it's from a Roma point of view, it was unbelievable. They're 4 goals ahead, and they can really focus more on progressing into the quarterfinals. But from a Brighton point of view, many improvements need to be made.
A Premier League season-defining fixture takes place this Sunday. First face second as Liverpool take on Manchester City. It could be the last meeting between Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp in a rivalry that started 11 years ago in Germany. But Arsenal could spoil the party as they have a chance to go top of the Premier League tomorrow night. They headline Saturday's fixtures by hosting Brentford. Arsenal are currently 2 points away from first place. Rasmus Højlund has also been named Premier League Player of the Month. The Danish striker scored 5 times in 4 games in February. He has also become the youngest player to score in 6 consecutive English top-flight games. Mikel Arteta has just won his 7th Manager of the Month award since taking charge of Arsenal. The 41-year-old appreciates the difficulties of winning this prestigious award.
Yeah, it's a great honor, obviously, in this league to get recognized that way, and thank you very much for the team and the staff that they are always supporting and making us better.
Chelsea's women's team will face London rivals Arsenal in the Conti Cup final after a Lauren James strike. The English international scored the only goal in the semi-final last night against Manchester City. The final will take place on Sunday the 31st of March at Molineux. Testing took place in Kent at Brands Hatch, where some of the drivers struggled with the conditions ahead of the new GB3 season. Luke John Buckle reports.
Ahead of the new GB3 season, the grid met for a pre-season test. Irish driver Alex Dunn delved into his initial difficulties of adjusting to the extra performance of the GB3 car after graduating from F4.
Yeah, I think jumping up to the downforce of a GB3 car, it took a little while for me to get my head around it. It's quite a big jump. The amount of speed we can carry through a corner now is pretty insane compared to F4. So I think definitely was a little bit difficult to get used to, but I think now that I have, I'm really enjoying it.
The series is Britain's highest level of single-seater racing and a vital step on the road to Formula One. GB3 has helped launch the careers of multiple F1 drivers, including race winners George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo. The track conditions were tricky for some drivers, including Timet Kahasik.
Yeah, surely it was more slippery. There was a lot of rubber outside of the racing line. There was quite a lot of understeer in the first couple of laps. Later on there was a bit better. But yeah, I think it was quite challenging.
Despite the difficult circumstances, the Polish driver was pleased with his driving and is confident ahead of the season.
Yeah, for sure it gives me a lot of confidence for next rounds. We just confirmed that in the last race with the fastest lap that no matter what, we're still there,
British F4 champion Louis Sharp delved into the fine details of Brands Hatch and how to maximise lap time there at the test.
It is one of my favourite tracks. I think just around the back, I'm not a big fan of the first few corners, but once you kind of go around into the trees, those high-speed corners, it's bumpy, it's tough, but it's really rewarding. There's no room for error, so you really got to make sure you're hitting all your marks, hitting every apex, and really being disciplined. But when you do get it right, it really rewards you.
The season kicks off at Alton Park and includes trips to 4 Formula One venues in Silverstone, Spa, Zandvoort and Hungary.
Solent are continuing their strive to seal their 9th title in the Southampton Senior Cup. Byron Goodchild was there with the latest.
Thursday night non-league football saw Solent FC clash with Hythe and Dibden in the Southampton Senior Cup. The cup is one of the oldest cups in Southern history, running as early as the 1920s. With Hythe and Dibden being 2 divisions below Solent, it should seem on paper the game was going to be a one-sided clash. The visitors were able to surprise home fans by putting up a fight, going tooth and nail going into the second half, until substitute Lee Wart scored just 3 minutes after being subbed on the pitch to see Solent into the semi-finals, where they will face either Bashley or Fawley AFC. The winning goal was a very emotional moment for Wart, as he had just returned to Solent after being away for a year and is now looking to continue to progress to the final of the cup.
Finally get off the mark. Played a few games now, been in and out. So yeah, hopefully this is the start of many.
Solent football analyst Alex was honest with his side's performance, believing they should have made quick work of their opponents.
The opponent played really well. They really made us struggle, really. Obviously 2 leagues below, we should have turned them around even more. We should have done better. I think our rotation was not good enough. We just couldn't create space enough, and we struggled to get forward, really. We got 3 points.
With only 2 wins from their 9th title win, Alex knows the idea of playing at St Mary's in the final is a big motivation for the club.
Southampton Senior Cup is a big cup in this area, and we get to play at St Mary's in final, so it's a massive one. Obviously, players get motivated by the fact that we get to play at St Mary's. Last season, we played at St Mary's in final as well against Tottenham. So yeah, I mean, it's just exciting, really. Everyone wants to go to St Mary's.
With last year's cup final ending in heartbreak, Solent will be looking to put rights to wrong by sealing the 9th title win at St Mary's Stadium.
Now to rugby, where England head coach Steve Borthwick has handed another debut. Young winger Emmanuel Feobaso will make his first appearance tomorrow against Ireland. Borthwick has described how excited the young man was for such a big occasion.
He was full of gratitude. I don't know how many times he said thank you to me. You've seen that. We've seen it with players recently. Theo Dan, another one that within Europe playing Amt Hills in the World Cup squad, and we see these young players with incredible ability and determination.
That's all for us today. We'll be back next week for more breaking sports stories.